press, and this is in respect to perhaps whatever they've discussed in that particular closed-door meeting. I understand they are just about to sign, the ministers of the two respective countries. You're seeing the Minister for Cabinet Secretary, for Foreign Affairs, that is Musalia Mudavadi, just perhaps signing whatever it is that these two leaders or these two heads of states have agreed. That is the President of Slovenia, President Nataša Musar, and President Dr. William Ruto. Probably later they'll be addressing a press to just get an insight of what exactly they talked about and whatever forms of agreement they've entered into, and perhaps what this portends for the country as a whole. Also, what we expect perhaps after this particular signing is the President of Slovenia to head over to the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, where she is expected to give talks to the leadership of the university and students alike on issues and matters of climate change and climate action, just looking at the sustainability of the same. What you're witnessing there is the signing from very own, that is the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and perhaps the Foreign Minister of Slovenia. The two presidents were held in closed-door meetings for some hours, just perhaps discussing areas of agreement between these two countries. That particular that closed-door meeting was preceded by what you saw, where the president first of all received the 21-gun salute, which is an honor that any visiting head of state usually receives, and she also inspected the parade. Thereafter went to that closed-door meeting. I want us to just quickly head over to State House and take a listen of what is ongoing there.
Your Excellencies, you may now progress to the joint press briefing. Welcome, Your Excellencies.
Your Excellency, Madam President Nataša Mursa, President of the Republic of Slovenia, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure, honor and privilege to welcome Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Slovenia, on this historic first ever state visit to Kenya by a Slovenian heads of state. Madam President, it is indeed heartwarming to welcome you to Nairobi and to Kenya. On behalf of the government and people of Kenya, I extend our deepest appreciation to Your Excellency for this visit, which marks a new and promising chapter in the growing relations between our two countries. This visit symbolizes the renewed commitment and strategic importance we attach to building stronger ties between our two nations. I have had, ladies and gentlemen, a very productive bilateral engagement with Her Excellency, during which we reaffirmed our commitment to deepening cooperation across a broad range of priority sectors, including agriculture, education, digital transformation, health, energy, environment, trade, and climate action. We have identified trade and investment as key pillars of our cooperation, with immense potential to spur economic transformation in both our countries. We warmly welcome the participation of the Slovenian business delegation and the hosting of the Kenya-Slovenia Business Forum. These engagements will strengthen business linkages and unlock new trade and investment opportunities in pharmaceuticals, ICT, clean energy, and agro-processing. We have agreed to work together to minimize and escalate the benefits of the Kenya-European Economic Partnership Agreement, which came into force in July 2024, and we look forward to Slovenia's support in raising awareness among our businesses to improve access to the European Union. Slovenia's global leadership in sustainable apiculture and digital governance serves as an inspiration to Kenya and we are excited to enhance our collaboration in smart farming technologies. And I told you, Madam President, that I am a farmer. And value addition in apiculture. We have agreed to build on the ongoing collaboration in Mandera County's beekeeping project and to scale it up to other regions, thereby contributing to biodiversity conservation, job creation, and food security. In the area of digital transformation, Slovenia's advancement in e-government, smart infrastructure, and data protection aligns with Kenya's ambition to become Africa's digital innovation hub. And we look forward to partnering in areas such as artificial intelligence, digital identity systems, cybersecurity, and emerging technologies to strengthen our digital economy. During our discussions, we also addressed our shared priorities in the health sector. And I want to thank you, Madam President, for offering that Kenya can learn from your distinguished institutions on matters to do with e-health and what we can do to leverage on technology in health provision and commodities management as we work on Kenya's universal health coverage plan. As Kenya works to expand access to quality, affordable health care, we recognize the potential to learn from others, and in this case, Slovenia. We look forward to forging partnerships between our institutions, including exchange programs and joint capacity building initiatives. Environmental conservation and climate resilience also remain central to our cooperation. I commend Slovenia's achievement of close to 60% forest cover, which greatly inspires our own reforestation initiatives to plant 15 billion trees by 2032. We agreed to explore joint projects in sustainable forestry, ecosystem management, ecotourism, and the development of non-timber forest products. Our shared ambition in education and youth empowerment are also shared priorities and are eager to draw from Slovenia's experience in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, digital learning, and vocational education. Our country's education is that much important, and I did explain to Her Excellency what we are doing in that space. On peace and security, Kenya and Slovenia share a common interest in promoting regional and global stability. We value Slovenia's role as a current non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. We have agreed to continue collaborating in efforts to foster peace in the Horn of Africa, the Great Lakes region, and globally. I did take time to explain to Her Excellency what we are doing in our region, in Somalia, to stabilize that region, and to work that country and to work with others in the awesome process that is currently underway in Somalia. I did also explain to Her Excellency that Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia are working with South Sudan to see what we can do together, and there are ongoing discussions on what we can contribute as the three countries to South Sudan's stability. I did also bring to Madam President's attention that the real big problem that we have is in the Sudan, where war rages unabated. There are two generals that have no regard for human life, and the war in Sudan is heading towards carnage, and it is already in the realm of a human catastrophe, and that all levers need to be pulled regionally and globally to stop the carnage, the human suffering, and the tragedy that is unfolding in the Sudan. Ladies and gentlemen, our discussions also touched on the urgent need for reforming the United Nations, especially the Security Council, to better reflect contemporary global dynamics. We acknowledged that the multilateral system must evolve to reflect present-day realities and ensure greater equity, inclusivity, and accountability. We reaffirmed the importance of Africa having permanent representation in the Security Council. We also discussed the urgent need for a more inclusive and responsive international financial system to support sustainable development. As Kenya prepares to host the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development in July this year, we welcome Slovenia's partnership in advocating for reforms that promote fair financing, reduce borrowing costs, and amplify the voices of developing countries in global economic governance. These discussions reflect our shared commitment to multilateralism, global equity, and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, to provide institutional support of our growing partnership, we have signed a memorandum of understanding on political consultations, which will establish a framework for regular diplomatic dialogue and consultations on bilateral, regional, and global issues of mutual interest. This reflects our shared commitment to strengthening cooperation and aligning on matters of common concern. Looking ahead, we are confident that Kenya and Slovenia will deepen our strategic partnership to advance our shared interests in sustainable development, peace, and prosperity for the benefit of our peoples and the globe. I also take this opportunity to thank Your Excellency for honoring our invitation to join the people of Kenya tomorrow as we commemorate Madaraka Day in Homa Bay County. We are deeply honored by this gesture, which underscores your commitment to strengthening our friendship. Madam President, again, welcome to Kenya. Enjoy your stay, and you have friends and partners in Kenya. Welcome.
Oh, Mr. President, thank you very much for such nice and warm words and a warm welcome. If I start with Madaraka Day, I was pleasantly surprised and honored to receive the invitation to go there and celebrate this national holiday with you, with your people. And I'm looking really, really forward to be in other parts of the Kenya tomorrow and celebrate this important day with you. Thank you, honestly. So, I became a president 2.5 years ago, and I've never been to Africa as a president. Kenya is my first visit to the African continent, and I have to tell you that I'm more than happy to be here because of one important thing. There are some others as well, but one is really very important. And this is that Mr. President and myself, we both believe in multilateralism. You know, the world is having a lot of problems nowadays. And believing in United Nations and international law and humanitarian law, this is something very close to my heart, and I know it's very close to the heart of your president as well. So Slovenia and Kenya are going to cooperate on this multilateral fora, the only one we do have. And I think it's really, really very important to assent this. We are going to see each other, I'm pretty sure, in September in New York when the General Assembly meeting is going to take place. So this is what we have to work on, together with an open dialogue. Your president mentioned the conflicts that you do have here in Africa. We, of course, also discussed the problems, the conflicts that we have in Europe and in Middle East. The war between Russia and Ukraine, you know, the Palestine issue, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. So this is what we have to discuss. We have to be open in dialogue, and we have to all try and strive to find solutions. This is your president's wish, and this is my wish. So this is what we have in common. I had an honor and the privilege yesterday, Mr. President, and I thanked you today at the bilateral talks that you offered me a wonderful companion to spend some time with me driving from the airport to the hotel. This is the young lady, the minister who's in charge of environment. And I know that environment is also very close to your heart. And we had a wonderful discussion about what's at stake. And we have to remain green at our hearts. Your project to build 15 billion trees, I can only applaud and say thank you for that, because you're not doing this only for Kenya. You're doing it for the whole planet, and that's what we have to realize. And we are going to meet each other at the COP30 in Brazil as well to discuss the climate crisis and climate change. So this is what our two countries are all about. And the discussions that we are having are only going to gain the friendship between Slovenia and Kenya, Mr. President. I do hope we will cooperate in economic field as well. You know, it's a lot of maneuvering space for that. I have the team from Ministry of Foreign Affairs here who will tackle these topics as well to see where the collaboration can strengthen. And I think that we can learn from each other. You said that Slovenia is very strong in artificial intelligence. It is. Some say that we have the most AI experts per capita in the world. We have our own little Silicon Valley, like you do are trying to have, and you already do have it in Kenya. Artificial intelligence is one field. Pharmaceutical, agriculture. You said you're a pharmacist. I'm not, I'm only a lawyer, sorry, and I apologize to Mr. President also on bilateral talks. But farming and agriculture is something that we do share as well. You know, food security is getting more and more important in every single country. And the wonderful joint project that we do have in common already is the Space SI. We are a space nation, yeah, but we do have a tiny little satellite which has a possibility and capability to monitor rivers, to predict the floods. And this is what we already cooperate on, Mr. President. Kenya and Slovenia and our little tiny satellite who can, you know, give us a lot of important and interesting data. Just to let you know, this tiny little satellite is also used to supervise the river Ganges in India. So it really is quite capable. Of course, Slovenia and Kenya have one more thing in common, and that's water diplomacy and water supply. Slovenian companies are trying to boost the water efficiency in Kenya with technologies that we do have. And of course, innovation is always a door to progress. Kenyan people are innovative, Slovenian people are innovative. So let's try and see what we can do with shaking hands, with cooperation. And once again, Mr. President and the people of Kenya, I cannot tell you how much privileged I do feel to be here. And especially, I have to send this again, because honestly, I didn't expect the invitation to be the speaker at your Madaraka Day. And believe me, I will try to reveal my soul and the soul of Slovenian people to your people tomorrow. And I really am looking forward to that. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to spend 3 marvelous days in your country. And Mr. President, you are more than welcome to visit Slovenia anytime. Thank you very much for everything, for those first couple of hours in Kenya, 2.5 days more to come. And I'm pretty sure that I will say thank you many, many more times for the hospitality. Thank you a lot.
And with that, Your Excellency, that brings us to the end of the joint press briefing. And we'll now all rise as we allow the two heads of state to exit at their own pleasure as we progress to the next part of this state visit. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We may now progress to the lunch area. Kindly.
President William Ruto there and his counterpart from Slovenia, President Nataša Musar, just concluded their joint press briefing, which was preceded by the signing of the two ministers. This is in respect to that bilateral ties, areas of collaborations including education, health, digital transformation, climate action, agriculture, just some of the things that have come up, and you've really had the president talking about leveraging, particularly on e-health, looking at how best this can advance our very own universal health coverage. On the question of digital transformation, areas such as artificial intelligence, biodata, that is IoT, big data, blockchain, just some of these emerging technologies. And then the president is looking at leveraging and how best we can use this as a country perhaps to advance our own digital transformation. Talking about areas of agriculture and smart farming, looking at ways in which you can copy perhaps what this particular country has done to grow our agricultural sector, amongst different other areas such as education that have really just come to the fore. This was the first visit of the Slovenian president coming to Kenya, and this just comes after the many years of relations that Kenya and Slovenia has had since 2004. That is 21 years of diplomatic relations, and this is the first time we're having a head of state coming to this country. Part of what has also come out from that particular presser is that the president of Slovenia will actually be part of the dignitaries tomorrow during the 62nd Madaraka Day celebrations, which will be happening in Homa Bay County. And much later, we also expect the president to be making her way to the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology to give a talk to the students, to the leadership there on issues of climate action under the theme One Climate Change. And this is just to tie with what has been mentioned there, including the areas of collaborations of climate action, perhaps just underscoring the significance and the importance of climate change in this ever-changing world, and looking at how best this can be able to foster our environmental sustainability. Issues of peace and security have also come to the fore, underscoring the war in Ukraine as well as the war in Gaza and how much this has affected, the humanitarian factor. So that is just part of what has come out of this particular meeting. Our very own Giverson Minor is on this bit, and he'll be giving us a detailed report of how exactly this day went and what more transpired therein. But now, from State House, we turn the crack to County Hall, where the IEBC vetting is ongoing. We have the next candidate there. So far, I understand that the Justice, Legal and Affairs Committee has vetted about 3 candidates. We are on the 4th candidate, and perhaps